I was not among those people who went to the Kabamba 1 attack. I was in Moroto as a soldier, and I didn't participate in the Kabamba attack 1. After I had failed to acquire Uganda Commercial Bank, I was very, very disappointed. I didn't know that the financial and socio-economic wars are more complicated than military wars.
Tarehe Sita is the day His Excellency Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, launched the NRA struggle in 1981 and has become a symbol, memory and celebration for the country. In 1986, a youthful Salim Saleh by then was tasked to draw the plan for the final assault on Kampala, which was successfully executed. This victory brought the national resistance movement to power, and since then, he has continued to serve Uganda, not for personal gain, but for the betterment of all.
On this 44th birthday of the army, I really want to congratulate everybody who has participated. From the earlier times, the 71, 79, then 81 to 86, and all those who have been involved in implementing or complying with the principle number 1 of Musevenomics, which is security of persons and property, and then keeping in touch with the population. Because UPDF, we used to tell people that the army is like fish in water, and the population is the water. You cannot, as a fish, you cannot survive without water. So, and I'm glad they are shaping up towards that objective. They will never forget it. UPDF and its earlier fathers and grandfathers, because for me, I'm in the category of Jaja in the UPDF. Those guys now, they look at me as an old man, and they are doing their best, and we are very, very proud of them. For me, I was recruited into the fighting unit forces in 1976. And I think in total, in terms of regional catastrophes, that war of 79 was purely against was more badly felt in West Nile in 1980 before the Ruwero War. So I think for record purposes, we should get a way of explaining that actually the first massive displacement of people from war was in West Nile. That's where an entire population went into exile. And as a result of that, because of the misbehavior of the army, the same happened in Ruwero Triangle when the second phase of the war was ignited in Ruwero. And you know, I was not among those people who went to the Kabamba 1 attack. I was in Moroto as a soldier, and I didn't participate in the Kabamba attack 1. But when I was imprisoned and later on released, I went to the bush. So I was not part of those of the 42 or 27 of whom were armed. So I was not part of that group. I went to the bush in July of 1981. Everybody thinks the war started in Ruwero, but the disagreements, political disagreements had originated earlier. 66, then 71, then 79, then 86, and that's when we believe the final phase of fighting really we thought we thought that the wars would end, but unfortunately other insurgencies came up, and that's why it took too long until 2006 to completely pacify the whole country.
The general later transited from militarism to humanism, as he calls it, humanomics. After stepping away from military, he did not leave behind the values he had fought for. Instead, he continued his battle in a new arena, fighting for the well-being of people. He moved from wearing military uniform to focusing on how to make life better for ordinary Ugandans through Operation Wealth Creation. He says that he went back to the bush in 1999, this time not for military war, but a financial war which he is still fighting up to date.
In February 1999, after I had failed to acquire Uganda Commercial Bank, I was very, very disappointed about the behavior of those people who didn't want me to acquire that bank, because I thought I was doing the right thing. But now I have been learning and teaching myself, and also learning the principles of Musevenomics. And privatization and liberalization are the major principles of Musevenomics. So when I got disappointed and I couldn't acquire that financial institution, I decided to go back to the bush. That is the bush I went to. And I thought that the bush would be as easy as that one of military. I didn't know that the financial and socio-economic wars are more complicated than military wars.
When he undertook to invent financial tools to liberate our economy from international finances, he did not know the implications and complications of the undertaking. He did not differentiate humanomics from economics. He did not understand prioritization and phasing of activities.
So I wrote a declaration which I have shared with you, and all the contents are in that publication which I made in 1999. At that time, I didn't understand properly the principles of Musevenomics, privatization and liberalization, cost of doing business, the market integration. I didn't have a full understanding of those principles in economics. So, but I didn't fear to go. So I went and divested myself of all the entities that were hanging around me, and I started creating an outlook for myself of mainly 3 or 4 sectors: banking the underbanked, banking the unbanked or underbanked. Number 2, value addition to our strategic crops. And number 3 was industrial establishments. So that's what I have been pursuing now for the last 26 years. And I think you have heard the last time we did an interview, you had already visited Kapeka, which is our site, and then you have visited other areas that have now sprung up as a result of adherence to the principles of our command-in-chief. So, but so far so good. So from 1999, I went back into that mode of the bush war, fight until you win. And I'm very happy that all those intentions which were disturbing my head have been realized in partnership with the principles of liberalization and privatization. So I'll tell you one funny story. After the UCB failure, because at that time Mzee called me a pseudo-nationalist. Now after that I never listened to him, and I went for coffee marketing board. because that was around the same time that the Coffee Marketing Board was being liberalized. And again, I went for that. I said, I'm going to die with Coffee Marketing Board, but Muse just told everybody, ignore him there. You just ignore him there, and I will surround him with capital. And he has finished me. I'm stuck in Bugorobi. Now, because Bugorobi was the only grading facility at that time, now we have at least 26 grading facilities across the whole country. We have at least 42 roasters, coffee roasters, who are adding value to coffee. Then we have got now about 16 industrial parks. Then we have got now the PDM, which is part of Musevenomics. Point number 10 is bringing everybody into the money economy. And he has been on the nationwide tour, and you can see the results. So, but I'm still in the bush. That's why I have not gone back to Kampala, because I'm still being sieged there in Bugorobi. I don't know whether I will be liberated from that point there where I'm still stuck, because I thought I was being a very strong nationalist, but I'm stuck there with that asset which is not very productive. So as you can see, I'm in Gulu, I'm Karamoja, Kapeka, other areas. Karamoja, we have like a very big, very many people are setting up base there for heavy industries of cement, marble, and other assets. So far we are okay. We are on track.
General Salim says that we must integrate and centralize all our export-oriented efforts into one-stop center that is dedicated, well-managed, informed, and does not fear to lose battles as so long as it wins the war.
What is lacking for sure is a coordinated intent of production, processing, storage, and marketing. Like Dr. Kaberuka once said, Dr. Kaberuka was the chief of the African Development Bank. He said the Africa's agricultural challenge is logistics. How do you produce crops cheaply, process them, package them, and export them? That is a coordination issue. That's what I'm calling for a comprehensive, coordinated actions towards understanding the value of products and markets. I turned from an economics to humanomics. This is just a terminology that we have just created, because economics presumes scarcity, but humanomics presumes plenty that is not being shared. That is the difference, because in humanomics you are seeing a lot of wealth which can be shared by everybody. In economics, it is the might of the one who has capital who controls the rest. So that's the only difference. But now, I want to say again, like I said last time when you interviewed me, I'm a follower now. I'm no longer the Messiah. I'm just a disciple, or a apostle, or something like that, of Musevenomics, because we have now finally aligned with his thinking, and that's what I'm teaching these days. As we talked last time, it is just a foundation. And if you follow through those principles, you will get to know where we are. Because, for instance, for him in the army, he said army building is a process. You must have a clear political line, you must have a clear strategy, and then you must train people, discipline. So if you don't do that, then you are wasting time. And through those principles, that's why he has been able to build a massive force out of peasants and a few intellectuals. But now the whole army is completely transformed and educated. So that's why we are very, very hopeful with the progress. You know, I'm 65 and the army is 60, is going to be 44. So I'm 21 years older than the army. But I have done most of my work, like in the last 28 years, is outside the army. It is in development studies, and we believe that the best form of defense is development. So we are okay. Maybe I'm about to come out of the bush. Miracles are going to happen in northern Uganda that people didn't expect. They are going to happen for sure. For instance, in this planting season of coffee, I think northern Uganda is going to plant more coffee than any other region. That one will change the status quo of our of northern Uganda. Number two, you have been here for a long time. They have all the factors of production. They have land, they have labor, they have markets on all corners of their area, and we are empowering them with mechanization, because mechanization has not yet taken root, but they are beginning to take in mechanization. They are beginning to diversify their crops from seasonal crops to perennial crops. Everything is hopeful for me here. Although it has taken a long time, we have not given up, and results will begin to be seen. You know, for me, I have never believed that poverty can be fought with guided missiles. It is sometimes you fire and forget. It's like an RPG. When you get the target very well, it will destroy the target. Like you saw all those testimonies where Museveni has been. You see somebody uses 1 million. In 2 years, he has built a different lifestyle completely. So we are very hopeful that the PDM, which has been my permanent dream, is now becoming a reality. It's like that industrial park in Kapek. It was an idea, but it became a reality. And like I told you last time, the industrialization is taking shape whether we like it or not. And only that we have not documented comprehensively what we are producing. And the World Economic Order is going to force us, whether we like it or not, to industrialize. Because you have seen what the Americans have done, you see what the Chinese are doing, you see everybody is trying to fight for made in Africa, made in US, made in China. So the struggle is good, and I'm enjoying it. You know, many people, when they visited that center, they thought it had been, we were playing tricks on them. Those products are not being produced in Uganda. But when I sent the leadership of the cultural leaders from Acholi, I sent them to Namunkekera, they couldn't believe that there is that transformation there. So, and the center here is beginning to take shape. I hope you have visited them again. It's taking shape, and people are beginning to, even people from South Sudan, from Arua, they are beginning to now take it up. It's a very active site. And we shall open many more in these regions, border regions, so that the people who are importing don't have to go to Kampala to get the products made in Uganda. We installed machines when there was low productivity. Like rice. Rice, we presumed that because the climate in the north has capacity to produce a lot of rice, we thought that the rice would become a major crop in the north here and northwest. And it was almost happening between 2002 to 2008 there. There was a big promise. But apparently, our brothers in Tanzania are producing rice at a very cheap cost. And that's what we are now discussing seriously with my colleagues, because Ambassador Philip is the head of the rice. He's the head of the rice community in East Africa, I think.
Africa Rice.
Africa Rice. Yes. So he's under pressure now because we have about like 88 rice mills, but the production is low. But we have told everybody that this season, at least we should plant a minimum we should plant about 10,000 acres. It's a tall order, but I don't know whether we shall be able to get the seeds because the machinery is already there. So slowly, and the leaders are discussing it at the highest level. I think very soon you are going to see, I have seen a cabinet memo which is talking about linking those machines which are redundant to the PDM beneficiaries. And I think very soon it's going to be taken up. Land holding in northern Uganda is still communal. Like the titled land in northern Uganda is about 22%. In Acholi, it's 22%, 22.1%. I think those guys who came in with cows did not study carefully the land holding structure. So they would go and rent land from one out of three brothers. Then he gets money, and the rest of the families don't get anything. So there was no clear understanding of land rights and rates. There was no clear guidance on the land rights and rates. But since the executive order, everybody has gone back to the drawing board. There is a very serious mutual respect about the landowners and then these migrants who are trying to use the land. And we have done a lot of sensitization. And things have come down, although not yet completely at ease, but we are very hopeful that out of sensitization and then mobilization, everybody will understand and then will respect the land rights and rates. And then transfer of knowledge, because these are two different, like the Ankole cows. The people in the north didn't have a full understanding of how to look after them because they had zebus, and the zebus were acclimatized with the situation here, and they could easily be used also for production. So the Walaro issue is not yet over, but it has subsided, and I think we are going to contain it. Gulu is at the center of four roads. You can go to Karamoja, you can go to Kitgum, and once you go to Karamoja, then you go to Kenya. Once you go to Kitgum, you go to South Sudan. Then there is this one going to Juba, then this one going to Congo. It's a junction. It's a junction city. Number two, it has a railway line, which is under repair. Additionally, you have Gulu Airport, which can be upgraded into an international airport. Because this one, like this one going to Kitgum, it goes to Ethiopia, it goes to Djibouti. So you can easily connect from the Red Sea to Gulu to Kampala. You never know. You never know, because there is another possibility of Lamu to Lodwar to South Sudan to again back to Gulu. So it's a possibility. Ideas don't die. Once you have an idea, you must keep it going until it becomes reality. Like I saw Mzee thanking me in Kapeka there that I had turned an idea into reality. So you keep on going, but I'm still in the bush. I don't know when I'll come back to the capital, but I'm getting old. I think I need to come back. I don't know whether I don't know. After I have resolved that Bugorov issue, if I break out of the siege, and if I break out of this siege of where Mzee has sieged me in Bugorov there, I may come back to the city. Now, on the significance of massacre, this UPDF celebrating this day in massacre. Massacre was a very useful experience for NRA at that time. And that massacre taught us one thing, that soldiers normally don't have issues. It is the politicians who cause the soldiers issues. Now, Massacre and Mbarara, we had sieged those two towns and the soldiers who were there. And as time went on, we worked on their mindset, and they agreed to surrender. You cannot believe it that the entire group, entire UNLA force which was in Massacre, when they came out of the barracks and we made peace with them, they are the ones who composed the 25th Battalion of NRA. So for soldiers, it was easy, because we were not fighting them because of who they were. We were just fighting because politically they were being used in an abusive manner. So the significance of that battles in Massacre, in Katonga Bridge, really produced a unified sense of purpose by all the fighting forces. And they became one army. And then when the constitution came, they changed the name from NRA to UPDF.